Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Jedi Knights Watch. My name is Graham, and today we're going to be talking about the oldest figures that I have in my collection, and do they need a 2.0? This is kind of something I've been thinking about. We've been talking about this on my videos and my live streams, like 2.0s and how somebody who's been collecting for a few years now kind of has to adjust to the influx of all the 2.0s and reissues coming out. So some of these might be justified, now that we kind of dig into how old they actually are, and maybe my tune will change, and we'll see. But before we get going, I want to invite you to like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and ring that bell so you don't miss any new content coming your way. You can also find me on Facebook and Instagram, where I share photos of my collection and just kind of hang out with you guys as well. So appreciate you being a part of that. Without further ado, we're going to dig into it. I have 7 figures that I want to look at today. Usually I do like a top 5, but this really isn't a top 5 video. It's just the 7 that were extremely old. Spoiler alert, you're not going to see any Star Wars. Hot Toys didn't start doing Star Wars until like MMS 250s, 260s, something like that. So all of these are going to be like MMS 100s. So they are pretty old, and again, they're the oldest figures in my collection. So without further ado, let's pull it up and let's start with the 7th. We're going to go, the 7th oldest, and then we're going to wind up with my oldest figure. And we're just going to talk about it. I want to see what the prices are and how things differentiate today, how the prices kind of increased. And then just if I think this figure could use a 2.0, because again, I'm not against 2.0s by any means. If I feel like, and again, this is my own thought process, so this is very subjective, but if I feel like enough time has passed and, the figure looks out of date, they could definitely update, the materials and stuff. So we actually just had the 89 Batman release, and it looks good on its own, but when you compare it to the 1.0, it's actually interesting because I'm like, wow, it actually doesn't look as good as the 1.0, where I feel like the head sculpt and the cowl shape aren't as maybe accurate as the original. I don't think they got the lips perfectly correct like they did. Like they had it there. They had the mold. They got it right. So it's like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So it's interesting because even if we get a 2.0, doesn't necessarily guarantee it's going to be better than the first. So I think that's what we're finding out now. But it's interesting stuff to talk about, and I really do like kind of digging into it. So here's my 7th oldest figure, and it is the Crow. This is actually one that I got very early on when I started collecting. I think it was maybe my 3rd figure. So to give you a little outline of my oldest figures in my collection, and maybe some of them I don't have anymore, but it was the DX13. Sorry, I'm just going to change this here. So it was the DX13. That was one of them, but it was BVS Batman was my first one, and then I think it was the Jungle Hunter Predator, which is on this list, and then it was the DX13, and then I think it was the Crow, or maybe the Crow came first, but those are the top 4 of my oldest figures that I bought, but now we're going by MMS here. So let's take a look at the Crow, and look at this, $220 for this figure. I think if this guy came out today, he'd probably be around the $300 range. This has a ton of pleather, which obviously worries me. Mine has just a little bit of peeling on the leg. I think it was from the crotch grabber rubbing against it. So other than that, the coat is in really good shape, but I do worry. I try not to handle it too much because of the oils on my fingers either. I just don't want to deteriorate the pleather, if I don't have to. So I try not to handle it too much. You could wear gloves if you really want to, but it's just interesting. So again, this is sold out, $220, and from my records, this came out in Q2 of 2014. So this figure is 10 years old. To be honest, I kind of thought it was older than that, but it's not. So could this use a 2.0? I think it could. I think this is definitely something that maybe hasn't aged the best. I think a new body with updated proportions would be good. Brandon Lee, rest in peace, was a slimmer guy, but I do think the proportions could be better. I think the head sculpt is actually good. I do like this more than the Sideshow version, but I do think they could tweak it a little bit. I think the hair could be a lot better 10 years later. I think, could this be artisan? Maybe, but even sculpted, I think the hair length is perfect. to do sculpted. We've seen the Joker, the new Joker sculpted looks great. So I think they could definitely do that. This one, you know, being pleather too, I would want them to wait until they use something other than pleather though. Like, would they use real leather? Could you make a nylon material that would look good in place of the pleather? I'm not sure, but I think this could use a 2.0, but again, it's got to be done right. Otherwise, you know, what's the point of it? So this is my 7th oldest figure in the collection, MMS 210. And this came out in 2014, so exactly 10 years ago. Man. Now we go to another one. This one is getting a 2.0, so spoiler alert there. This figure isn't even on Sideshow. I couldn't find it, so we're just looking at the Hot Toys checklist. This is Bane, the 1.0, MMS 183. This came out in Q1 of 2013. This is 11 years old. So again, a lot of time has passed. Perfectly fine. The body has aged terribly. It's too small. You see all the joints. You know, they're doing the seamless body. So it's really nice that this is getting a 2.0. Again, these are the figures that really need the upgrade. So I'm actually glad that Hot Toys is doing these. So, you know, no issues there. It's really just like the BVS has kind of annoyed me a little bit, being that they aren't that old and they look really good. The DX13, while it's really old, I still think that is like one of the best looking figures they've ever done. Keaton Batman, the DX9, while I don't think they did the figure justice necessarily, and we'll see when we get it in hand because I am getting that one, but I do think that one looked really good as well. And I'm happy with like the cowl being one piece instead of that part that pops off because it was ugly. Happy with a new body, stuff like that. But man, I don't know why they changed the look to it, but nonetheless, Bane, not a bad figure when he came out for sure, but very, very small. I think with the coat on, he looks pretty good, but the coat peels over time. This is how I found out about pleather and friction and force. I got this figure and I did a Fison body swap, and what I did was trying to pull the coat on, it was too tight, and then just like when you really grab the pleather and then that friction and you kind of rub, it just peels right off. So I think that's where a lot of the pleather starts to peel too, is not only when the joints are bent and then it kind of sticks to itself and just pulls apart, but then also like when you're trying to get hands on the wrist pegs and you kind of have to use force. So, you know, you're pushing and then, you know, so it's tough with pleather. I really wish they would kind of come out with something, you know, a little bit more durable. But here's the Bane figure. This one definitely justifies a 2.0. I'm excited for that one. I did not pre-order, but hopefully I'll be able to find that somewhere. On to the next one. Number 5 on my list is the OG Batmobile, 1989 Batmobile, which is going to be MMS 170, if you can believe it. Q2 of 2013. So another vehicle figure slash 11 years old, and this one again did get I would call this a reissue. This is not a 2.0. It just came out. The light technologies are the same. The size of the Batmobile is the exact same. Paint applications might be a little bit different, but it still has the battery compartments. So nothing has changed on this. Actually surprised though, it was 630 11 years ago, and I think it's 720 now. That's not terrible. I mean, I guess it's kind of in line with, well, not really. I mean, the Crow, my guess would be the Crow would be 75 to 80 bucks more, and this is about you know, 90 bucks more as well. So, you know, it's kind of staying in line with that, but I do feel like with a vehicle they could have even gouged us more for that. But a beautiful piece, and if you're an 89 fan, I honestly think it's a must. If space is a problem, figure it out because you need this piece. D'Lo just got it. I know he's going to be over the moon about it. So it's an iconic vehicle. If I could have one vehicle in my collection, this would be it. Do I think it needed to be reissued? No. Could it have used a 2.0? Maybe. I would just have liked to see it scaled to size, but you know, now that it's just a reissue, I feel fine just keeping my OG Batmobile, and it's not a problem for me. But this is more so just because they wanted to get it into more collectors' hands that they just reissued it and, you know, made some more money. So perfectly fine with that. I remember when the prices for this were just astronomical. And now they've kind of come down a little bit just because of the reissue, but it is such a great piece that I would recommend, yeah, anybody that can get this one. Moving on, we're going to go to the Predator figures, and we have the City Hunter Predator from Predator 2. And this is going to be MMS 173. This came out in Q4 of 2012. And if you guys are wondering, I'm getting all my information from the Hot Toys checklist. So I've looked all these up, so hopefully that's accurate. But yeah, so I'm not necessarily going by the MMS because some of these are a little out of order, but I'm going by the release date. So this is Q4 of 2012. This is a really good figure. Again, 220. That's a hefty figure for that price, like in today's standards. I mean, this would probably be well over 300, 330 maybe, 315. It looks really good still. Does it need a 2.0? I don't think it necessarily does. These are all plastic bodies with exposed joints, but the gauntlets and the webbing and some of the armor just does a really good job at kind of hiding those, and then the knee pads and stuff. The only problem I had with this figure was the elastic knee pads loosened up and they were really saggy. All I did was cut them and then re-glue them, and they're perfectly fine now. So, you know, I think it's tough too, because do we need a 2.0? Is it justified? I mean, I don't know. It's an old figure. It's already been, some of the Predators have already been 2.0, because when they were first announced or released, you actually had to put them together. It was like a kit. So with these, you don't have to do that. You know, it's a really good looking figure. I like the way that they did the it's on the tip of my tongue, but the mandibles, how you can plug them in and take them out, so you can have the open mouth, closed mouth, stuff like that. So I like that a lot too. But are there minor details that they could fix on this? Yeah, I think so. You know, they could get the proportions a little bit better. Maybe the head sculpt, the paint applications a little bit better. There's a lot of paint on these figures. But outside of that, I mean, I think it looks great. I have that one right down here as well, and it looks awesome. I don't think you need one, but I understand, like, it depends. I would have to see if it's like going from DX9 Batman to this new Batman. I think I would keep this one. If it's a straight reissue, like the Batmobile or possibly the Jungle Hunter, we don't know yet, I'd probably just keep this one as well, because it's not bad. It's a pretty good figure. So Predator 2, this is the City Hunter. Going next, we have the Joker DX8. This came out in Q1 of 2012. So this is a 14-year-old figure, 14 years plus. This one is one of those grails that has stood the test of time. The head sculpt looks great. It's one of them old DXs that you get a ton of stuff with. So this is a really good figure as well. This is one that I hold dear to my heart, and man, $265 for a DX figure. This would easily be $350 to $400 today. But you can see the photos here. Head sculpt still looks really good. Again, it's aged pretty gracefully. It's got the PERS system, which on the old figures broke a lot. Mine is still intact. I wish they would go back to PERS and just make it so that it was more functional and didn't break, because it's just nice having the eyes set together so you don't have to worry about moving each individual one, because every time I move them, I just feel like it's just slightly off. But nonetheless, great figure. A couple different, you know, outfits, or like you have a coat, and you can take this coat off, so you can do a bunch of things. It comes with the hat, lots of accessories. You know, he's got the walkie-talkie. He's got some pistols, some money, a lot of good stuff. But it's interesting. It would hurt a little bit if this was a 2.0, but at the same time, I do think they could do a better job of the head sculpt. Like, as good as it is, I do think they can still make improvements. The Mime Joker was the DX14, and that one, I think the head sculpt actually looks better. I think this is the better figure, but I really have a soft spot for that one too. And my Mime Joker is actually above my DX, so I have that one too. But the DX8 still looks really good, but I do think there could be improvements. It would have to be enough, though, for me to take the dive and get this. However, I've said it in the past, Star Wars is my favorite IP to collect, but Batman and Joker are my favorite characters to collect. So it would be tough for me to say no to a 2.0, as much as it would hurt at the same time, if that makes sense. I think I'd have to get over it and possibly get this one because it just means that much to me. So DX8, it's a really old figure. However, Jack Nicholson is in his early 90s. I don't know if he cares about doing stuff like this anymore or giving his likeness. I think he's kind of been stingy in the past or expensive. I'm not exactly sure, but I just think I've heard that he doesn't really want to do this stuff anymore. So I don't know if we ever get a licensed Jack Nicholson Joker again. So this one could stand the test of time. However, if we're getting one, it's going to be soon because they've reissued the Batmobile. We're getting the Keaton Batman. Also, the Batman Returns has been teased. So if ever the time, it's going to be pretty soon here. Okay, that was my number 3. Now we're going to go down to my number 2. We're going to go back to a Predator figure, and this is the classic Jungle Hunter. This is MMS 162. This came out in Q4 of 2011. So this is also an old figure. And again, the price is $220 here. So, man, really good prices. I'd love to get the same prices today. Obviously, that's not going to happen. But this is another good figure, and this one has been teased for a 2.0. They did put the exact figure that we have here now on display, and again, they did that for the DX13 and Batman Returns. It could just be a placeholder, but nonetheless, let's take a look at the figure. He comes with a diorama base. I'm not a big fan. I actually swapped mine out for a custom skull base, which he just stands on a little bit better. So, you know, they teased a different base as well. If they're gonna 2.0 these figures, I really hope though that it's not just an accessory. Like, make improvements on them or don't do them at all. That's kind of where I stand. Like, I'm willing to take a hit on the value if I want to get the new one and it makes sense. It's been 10 plus years. They're going to make a ton of improvements. I'm fine with getting them then. But if it's going to be the same figure with a different base, I'm passing. And then you're just killing the value in the Hot Toys collecting. So, I mean, again, I don't collect to make money. I just collect because it's supposed to be rare. That's what collectibles are. They're rare and they're valuable. So, you know, that's the reason we all collect. Plus, they look freaking badass. So, this is cool too because it comes with battle damage piece, the helmet, as well as the clean version. So you can kind of do 3 looks if you want, and then take the helmet off and just have the Predator underneath. Really good figure. I'm trying to think if this is a 2.0. I don't remember if this is a 2.0, but yeah, this is from the actual Predators movie, but this is a really good stand-in for the Predator 1 figure. That's kind of what I use mine for. A little bit different, you know, he comes with necklaces and stuff, but it's pretty much the same figure. It's a good stand-in. So, yeah, here he is, MMS 162. I didn't even think this was that old, to be honest, but this was, again, my 2nd or 3rd figure that I got. So this one has been near and dear to my heart. It would hurt to have a 2.0, but at the same time, if they make enough improvements, then I would be in. However, we have the Feral Predator coming soon, and the body is the same. So, again, what are you going to do differently on a figure like this? You're going to have exposed joints, which are fine, because if you do a whole, like, silicone body, it's not going to stand up to the test of time. So, you know, that's kind of those things that we got to answer. So I don't know if a 2.0 is necessary for this figure. I just don't think so. All right, let's go to number 1 here, and it's actually one of my newer figures in the collection, but it's my oldest figure in the collection as well. It's the T1000 MMS 129. This came out in Q3 of 2010. This is a figure I kicked around going back and forth on getting, and I finally just took the plunge. I got a nice deal from Hawk Wars Toys, so thank you for that, Hawk. He's a great dude, great guy to work with. Go to his eBay store. You can find the description in the link below. And this is the T1000. This one is a really good figure too. It's aged okay. I think this one they could make a lot of improvements on, especially the head sculpt. I think the sculpt itself is pretty good, but the paint apps could be better. The hands come across as being too big. I think because the wrist gets so slim. So again, just proportions on the figure could be a little bit better. Again, I have him right here too. Most of this list is right behind me. But he's a good figure. There's just some things that could be maybe improved upon. So I always consider the head sculpt as the soul of the figure. And if they revamped that and it was a ton better, then I'd probably be in on this as well, because I do see that it's aged quite a bit, and honestly it really should have. It came out in 2010. This is almost a 15-year-old figure, so it's still really good. I still really like it. I'm glad I purchased it. I love the magnetic battle damage here going on, and he looks good. And it's a nice thing because there's really no pleather on it. Like the pouches themselves, I believe, are plastic, like sculpted plastic. You know, he's fabric. I do like putting these arms on. I don't have them on right now, but I do like the transition from like going from the blue sleeve and then it kind of gradients out to the liquid metal. So I do like that a lot too. So cool figure. Could this be justified as a 2.0? I think so, especially if they're going to do the DX13, then why not do the T1000? But again, only do it if you're going to make, you know, drastic improvements and make it worthwhile, because otherwise you basically get two figures in one here. So people could keep this one too and get another one, and then you could display both of these at the same time. That's an option too. Or do what Hot Toys does and don't give us the second look. They just give us this police uniform so that the other one retains a little bit of value. I could see that happening as well. That's typically what Hot Toys does. Again, this wasn't even a DX, but it sure could have been. Just a lot that comes with this figure. 2 head sculpts, 2 outfits, basically different, all the different accessories in the hands. Just a lot of goodness going on in one package there. So those are the oldest figures in my collection. Let me go full here. Just to recap, we have 7, The Crow, MMS 210, 2014. Bane, MMS 183, 2013. The 89 Batmobile, MMS 170, came out in 2013 as well. The City Hunter Predator, MMS 173, came out in 2012. The Joker, the DX8, came out in 2012. Classic Jungle Hunter, MMS 162 in 2011, and the T1000 MMS 129 in 2010. RoboCop just missed the cut. He was MMS 204, 202, D04, something like that. But it's just fun to kind of go back and look and then ask myself, how would you feel if these were 2.0? Can you justify it? Some of them I can. Some of them I don't think need it, but nonetheless, that's not up to me. So let me know what you guys think of this. Tell me what your oldest figures are in the collection, and if you would buy a 2.0 of that figure. I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Until next time, stay safe out there, and see you soon.